So good evening, good morning to all folks, and good evening to all the Indian folks, and a warm welcome from the Three Aces Investor Cell. This is the first investor meet for the investors of the Dhruv Consultancy Services. We have the pleasure of having Mr. P.V. Dandavate and will be follows, followed by judgment, and then we'll give a short update about the three aces, and then we'll request Dandavate and Tanvi to give us an update on the future outlook of the company. So moving on to Dhruv Consultancy. He's a company which got established in 2003, and it's considered as one of project management consultancy firm in the infrastructure design. And in the last 18 years, Dhruv has evolved as a brand and has been an enabler for all the government initiatives towards excellent roadwork, infrastructure, and safety. The company specializes in providing infrastructure solutions in terms of roads, highways, bridges, architecture, and waste management projects and ports. So just a to note, the company started with a humble number of 4 employees, and now today they are 300, which is a great feat. And it was awarded the Economic Times Business Leader Award in 2019. Its presence are spread across 21 states in India. They also support a lot of CSR related work, which has a great impact to the social and environmental standpoint. The 6 business and ports. But we'll hear more about the company, the horse's mouth, Mr. Dandavate. The company also has marquee clients like National Highway of India, Maharashtra State Road Development Corporation, MSRDC, Regional Authority, which is MMRDA, and the list goes on. You know, the National Highway Infrastructure Development also. But I will just stick to the main ones where they are, talking to. They have 10, 15 plus, which is what I got to know. So now I'll just move on to talk a few lines about Mr. Dandavate. So Mr. Pandam Dandavate is the non-executive director and promoter of this company. Being a civil engineer by profession, the highway sector, and has combined technology and design to create a difference in his field. He has over 3 decades of experience in the infrastructure industry. He has worked earlier in Maharashtra PWD, MSRDC for 19 years, specializing in roads, bridges, tolls, etc. The important call-outs are, he was involved in the JJ flyover in Mumbai, which is a huge, big flyover that we can see. Also in the Pune-Mumbai highway, which was again another big feather in the cap for Mr. Dandavate. Tanvi Avti is the managing director of the company. She's had a 5 years experience in the field of construction. She took on to Dhruv Consultancy, managing the degree in civil. She joined DCS, that is Dhruv Consultancy Services, for some time. Government and agencies, and focused in business and stakeholder management. So company during day-to-day activities of administrative work, financial operations, and handling projects. So with this introduction, I would like to move on to the Three Aces Investor Relations Cell. So the first reason for what is the Three Aces Investor maximum out of company's growth. So we all know that investors play a major and vital role in the success and growth of a company. it is of utmost importance for a company to maintain a strong and currently there are about 6,000 plus companies, 1,000 companies in the SME. In the case of large and established companies, there is a lot of information available through multiple mediums like websites, one-to-one meets, print media, business channels, etc. But the small companies or the several companies, I would say, there's a possibility that these companies get neglected and therefore superior performances unnoticed and the companies do not get the valuations they deserve. Companies operating in the SME sector find it very difficult to maintain, sell, therefore there are several companies that are listed in the SME platform that do not get the right valuations due to lack. Altia Group, supporting this organization of 3 Aces Investor Cell, investor relations. The team which is goals. What does the right company? I'm so sorry. Yeah. So the most important job of 3 Aces Investor Cell. We also do investor database. We have a huge set of database of companies and potential new investors. 3 Aces IRC ensures that these investors are informed. Annual general meetings, annual reports. We advise and conduct of reports. Visibility management is an important part. Various most importantly, we do presentations on and give company updates on a regular basis. We've started this 3 Aces Investor Relations Cell, and we have already the recent listed companies in the SME exchanges that we have mentored have already started to began to embrace friendly policies which have been demonstrated in their actions. For example, Evans Electric paid a dividend of 22% for financial year 20, 30% in financial year 21. VR Films paid a dividend of 10% for financial year 20 and has declared an interim dividend of 10% for financial year 21. Cospower Engineering again has declared a dividend of 12%, and Bodhitree Multipedia has declared an interim dividend of 10%, and the list goes on. Now over to talk a few words about Clifton De Silva, the mentor behind the creation of 3 Aces Investor Cell.
I think
Mr. Clifton De Silva,
we cut that and directly come to a presentation.
Okay, sure. So I just wanted to let everyone know the brain behind the Investor Relations Cell, Clifton. Yeah. So definitely over to Mr. Dandavate. Over to you, if you can start the updates regarding your company and the future prospects, and Tanvi too.
Surely. Tanvi, can you start?
Yes. Thank you, Mrs. Krishnan. Thank you for giving a brief introduction about the company. I welcome all the investors for today's investor meet. Wish you all a very good evening. Dhruv Consultancy Services, as Mrs. Krishnan said, was established in 2003. Then in 2018, we became from a private limited company company to a public limited company. And on May 10, 2018, we launched our IPO and we became a public limited company. We work in 6 sectors, that is highways, bridges, tunnels, architecture, environmental, and ports. So for these sectors, we provide a variety of services, that is the detailed project report, feasibility study, authority engineer services, independent engineer services, in construction supervision, as well as operation and maintenance work. We also carry out road safety audit works, architectural works, heritage conservation, and urban development projects. Then in environmental sector, we are providing services with respect to sanitation and wastewater supply treatment. And lastly, ports, wherein port development projects we have carried out in the past for Wardha Dry Port and the Jalna Dry Port. Also, we have an employee strength of over 300. We started this company with 4 employees in a 200 square foot rented office. And today we are a company with a workforce of 300, out of which 75% are engineers and 25% are non-technical staff. So from 4 employees, today our employee strength is 300. Recently, if you have followed us on BSE, we have backed 3 major express highway projects, 2 projects of Delhi Vadodara Expressway and 1 Amritsar Jamnagar Expressway. These are the first construction supervision expressway projects backed by the company. These are 8-lane greenfield alignments project. We have also entered into the Northeast, wherein the terrain and the difficulties in working are known to us. So we have already entered into the northeastern states of Arunachal Pradesh, Manipur, and Meghalaya. So this was the brief description about the company. I hand over now for the future outlook to Mr. Dandavati.
Just I would like to add a few things about the company. In nutshell, or through at a glance, we are 17-year plus company. We have completed 155 projects till date. We have now pan-India presence almost in 21 states. This happened, what I can say, post IPO. And here I would again like to specifically mention where we are on this SME BSE platform because and only because of Clifton G. He was very much instrumental in convincing us to go on the SME board. And I can say straightway without any hesitation, he is our mentor and he will remain our mentor again when we are migrating to the main board. Our ongoing projects are 64. We have completed about 3,000 kilometers of DPR and our market share all over India or pan India is 7%. We have an executed order book of about 170 crore, which itself gives a, you can say, strong sales, expected sales for next few years, because our assignments are 2 years or 3 years. Here I would like to add one more thing. We in the COVID era, we all were suffered by corona disease, including top management, and on that background we decided to induct some quality manpower or key managerial persons from private sector as well as from the contracting side sector. So therein we are making our management team younger than the present one. So that we are going to announce in few days once we get the approval from the board. Here I would like to announce 2 more things. In this week only, we got empaneled ourselves in 2 things. Two areas. One is a smart city, Solapur. One is a smart city, Solapur, and second is we have our first footprint outside India that we have got empaneled for urban development works in country of Nepal. So these are the two things happened. Both are the empanelments, but our business door opens from the empanelments. One more thing I would like to add: what is the difference between consultancy and EPC contracts or contracting firms? The basic difference is we get the works based on the highest technical score, not based on the lowest financial quote. And day by day, Dhruva is becoming technically very, very strong. Today, when we started the business with Government of India, we were scoring about 85 to 87 marks out of 100. And now we are scoring 95 to 97 marks out of 100. Here for investors' interest, I would just explain in one line. One mark carries a weightage of about 25 lakh rupees. Means even though I am not L1 in the financial quote, but I am H1 in the technical score, then I can quote 25 lakh multiplied by n number of marks. Say 5 marks are more than other. So I can quote my bid 1.25 crore more than the lowest one. So that adds to the profits of the company like anything. We are working for excellence. Only one example I will quote here. We completed one bridge on Mumbai-Goa road, that is a Savitri bridge, which was collapsed somewhere in 2016 floods. And we took the challenge of construction or reconstruction of that bridge as a consultant, of course. And we, with the help of contractor and client, completed the bridge 165 days. That is the record period in India. Such a long bridge of about 200 meters on a flowing river of Savitri. So that credential goes to company team. And we were honored by one certificate by the then CM and the Minister of the Highways from Government of India. You must have gone through the budget provisions of next financial year. The highest provision has been made in the budget for infrastructure sector. It is 5 lakh crore rupees outlay to be spent in 1 year only. This is definitely giving a boost to the economy to come our country out of COVID impact. And this is the highest ever provision made by any of the government in the past. So taking advantage of this, we have also decided to choose the consultancy assignments carefully, and also to bid for the mega size projects. As Tanvi told, we got three assignments on Mumbai-Vadodara Expressway, which is iconic project for Government of India. Also, we have got that Northeast assignment, one big assignment. Now, apart from consultancy, we have also decided to have some other 2 or 3 verticals. This is a experience or lesson learned from the COVID impact. This COVID came all of a sudden, and there was a little bit slowdown in the consultancy business last financial year. Also, we are facing it current financial year, though it's not big impact like manufacturing or any other sector, but still impact is there. So in economics, everyone knows there is one say that don't put all eggs in one basket. So we have decided to have 3 verticals. One is a biomining, second is solar technology, rooftop solar. It's sort of we can say we are entering as a EPC contractor, but not purely as a contractor, wherein we have the joint venture partners, which are mostly our associates. And in that joint ventures, we are bidding biomining and solar projects. So my plan or my target is to achieve order book of 1,000 crore rupees in next 3 to 4 years. Present order book is 300 crore. Unexecuted is about 170 crore. So I have my ambitious plan to achieve 1,000 crore order book. That includes, of course, our core sector consultancy, having big ticket size assignments. Secondly, this solar sector, which is dominantly a private sector, and it is a PPA model we are choosing, and we are negotiating with two big firms in Gujarat to have a 10 to 12 megawatt assignments in another 2 months. Of course, all these things investors are aware, everyone is aware. We may be a need of capital if we diversify for this biomining sector and solar sector. Biomining, one of our associate already is working in biomining and urban solid waste management. That is Samarth Softtech Solutions, and they have got 6 or 7 municipality works. But with the financial strength of Dhruva, we get qualified for 40 to 50 crore size work. This biomining or urban waste management or clearing the urban waste, it has a proper fund provision. What we are paying 1% cess for the Swachh Bharat Abhiyan. So there is a pure fund flow or sufficient fund flow available from Government of India. Secondly, because of this pandemic, now cleanliness awareness in all sectors has increased like anything, and we are smelling big opportunities in both these sectors. So to fulfill our capital need, definitely the SME sector is not at all sufficient. Clifton will also agree with me. So we have decided to migrate on the main board, and we have submitted our documents 2 days back only for approval to the BSE, and we expect to migrate somewhere in 2nd or 3rd of April. Now, with this background, budgetary provision, as I said, there are 5 lakh crore rupee provision from government side, and Honorable Prime Minister of India and also Honorable Minister of Roads and Highway, in last 2-3 seminars or public meetings, they have appealed to the private sector to invest equally that what government is investing. It means another 5 lakh crore rupees are expected in infrastructure sector from the private players. So 10 lakh crore rupees inflow is a very, very big inflow considering the size of Indian economy. And definitely their plan looks to be to achieve the target of 5 trillion economy in another 3 or 4 years. Now, just I will do my own analysis for the investors, that what we normally call the SWOT analysis. So what are our strengths? That S stands for strength. So we are empaneled, as I just explained. We additionally empaneled outside India first time also in Nepal. In most of the government departments, we have experienced the management team. Now we are making it more young by introducing young professionals from the private sector. We have technical and execution capabilities which are proved over last 7-8 years, and which is appreciated at many of the forums, including Honorable Minister. We have the strong licensing base at Delhi and Mumbai. Of course, we are Mumbai-based company, and we also have a strong base in Delhi. Then we have strong order book. We have strong financials. Now our weaknesses are, we have the limited resources as we are in a service sector, and our business as on date is not capital intensive. Our project life is long, considering any other project. Our project life is 3 to 5 years. Sometimes it is 7 years. So our retention gets blocked. Our payment comes in stages, particularly for the DPR works. We have the opportunities. O stands for opportunities. We have the huge infrastructure development in country, as I explained. 10 lakh crore rupee budget provision is there for current year only, coming financial year only, and we want to ride on that wave. For the threats, further COVID impact may definitely have impact for next financial year also. If government policy changes for spending on infrastructure, like some of the state governments have already curtailed in their budgets provision for the infrastructure sector. Touchwood, government of India has not done that, but changes in policies always is a threat to the business. Then delay in approval of projects, because again threat of lockdown and work from home culture, and offices again may work on the lower strength, particularly government offices. lower inflow from few of the clients. That is also one of the threat, as I already explained. So these are the company, you can say, SWOT analysis. The way forward, just to conclude my speech, I would like to say that I myself, in last 4 years, when I'm saying I'm a non-executive director, chairman and non-executive director, I was involved as the CEO of one big infrastructure company in India, Mumbai based, for construction of highways. The assignment was 3 years, but it was extended because of COVID in the 4th year, and I got retired from that assignment on 31st of January this year only. So now I am totally free, and I am dedicating my full time and quality time for my own family business, this Dhruva Consultancy Services, which will add to the value to the investors also, value to the company also. And while migrating to main board, I can assure investors that you will definitely get much better returns than what you are expecting from other sectors in this business. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Uma,
Yeah.
you can take
Thank you,
over.
Mr. Dandavate and Tanvi, for the excellent updates that you've given, and looks very optimistic for the investors. So I move on next to the question answer session. I have one question which has come from an investor. The question is, I understand that although the company is professionally managed, however, the same has been formed riding on the experience and contacts of Mr. Dandavate. This obviously gets you lucrative projects and various other opportunities. As a long-term investor, the investor wants to know, what about the succession planning?
Tanvi?
Yeah. So I would like to start by answering that. Since the new government came into place, the Modi government in 2014, a lot of transformations have happened in the country, and systems have become much more transparent. So since 2000, if you have followed our financials since 2015-16, you can see a straight jump from 10 crore turnover to 17 crore to 30 crore and to 50 crore now. So this is due to the more infrastructure budget being allotted, more transparent system. So whatever bids are being submitted, they are not offline, they are online. Anyone can see what is being submitted. The evaluation, the technical evaluation that is being done is done in a transparent manner. So no contact or no influence can happen in case of Government of India MORTH and NHAI projects. And going ahead also, things are becoming more and more stricter. And as a succession planning, I have joined the company since last 5 years. I take care of the project monitoring as well as the finance and the administration department. We also have our executive director, Mr. Sandeep Dandavate, who looks after the business development and the client handling. And also Dandavate sir rightly mentioned that he was, since last 4 years, he was working in MEP infrastructure. He was a non-executive director here, and was basically a advisor, was basically in an advisory role. So he has already planned for succession in the future.
Thank you. Great. Any others present in the meeting? Do you have any questions?
Yeah, hi, this is Sunil Sahani. I've been an investor with Dhruv for quite a long time.
Yeah.
So, Mr. Dandavate, you just mentioned that you have 170 crore worth projects that are yet to be done. So, you have 3 verticals. Could you just give some brief as to what are the margins of each of the verticals?
Surely. Consultancy, if you balance past 3-4 days, the consultancy business margin gross 20% profit and net, of course, 16 or 15% profits, which little bit 2 years because of competition, but still it is not falling anywhere below 12% consultancy business. So it's again remains our core sector and profit earning sector, but it is a manpower intensive business. And COVID has given a good lesson to us to have another verticals. So biomining, what we are quoting the works, we have not got any work order till date, but we are quoting the works with the profit margins of 10 to 12%. And solar, it is a long-term, you can say PPA with the clients, power purchase agreements, wherein we are getting the per unit rate of 4 rupees 25 paisa, which is giving us the return on investment more than 20% with break even of 3 to 4%. So it is like a pension plan for the company if we get one or two long-term solar projects of medium to small size.
Nice. And secondly, you said you might be requiring funds for expansion, and so how
Yeah.
do you go about it? You'll be having doing it from internals, or you have something else in mind?
Basically, the fund requirement is for again, I'm repeating solar sector. Suppose I'm getting work of say 5 megawatt, just for example. So it needs 20 crore total investment or total funds, out of which since we are executing it on PPP mode, so SPV will be there. There will be a technical partner. We have already identified. We have already entered into agreements with them. And ideally 20% equity has to be put. So fund requirement for a 5 megawatt project will be about 3 to 4 crore rupees over a period of 1 year. And its return should start after 4 or 5 years once we pay back the capital. And it will be a long-term PPA, say 25 years. So ROI will be very high. We have first plan to migrate on the main board. And if we get sizable solar projects or sizable biomining projects, again, that biomining is capital incentive intensive in terms of requirement of equipments mainly. So then we have a definite plan of fundraising post migration, but not today.
Okay, yeah, I got it. I mean, as an investor, dividend is good by any company. I'm talking in general, and also as far as your company is concerned, it's got an inherent strength. A lot of experienced people like yourself, and you're getting contracts. But
Yeah.
all this is not being seen in the stock price. Nothing to do with the stock price, but I think that yes, management should keep an eye on that, because that is the fourth vertical for the management, the investor. In your case,
See, when we got ourselves listed, our rate was 54. SME sector was blooming at that time. I can say it was on peak. I am talking about May 2018. Then I am seeing all the SME companies, not Dhruva, all the SME companies on BSE and NSE, they prices have gone down by 40 to 50% over period of next 2 years. I don't know the reason. I'm not share market expert. And that is one thing. Definitely last year, COVID impact is there. But in spite of having a COVID impact, our rates have not fallen down drastically, but I can say. Secondly, the nature of SME sector itself, since our lot size is 2000, it's very big, and say today's rate say 30. So 60,000 rupees, it stops the liquidity in the market. Everyone is aware. We hope by migrating on the main board, we should get better prices here from here onwards. But again, I would like to repeat, we as a management or as a promoter don't have any control on the share prices.
yes, but there are many shares on the SME which have actually gone up also. In fact, Clifton will be able to throw some light. He's instrumental in many of those
I would not
companies.
like to comment upon share market
Yeah.
or share
No,
prices. This is not the right forum.
since you mentioned that stock prices of SME is going down,
Definitely,
I just wanted to counter that.
when I am saying it, out of 190 companies, 10 companies might have gone up, but I am not going to. I am going to concentrate on my own business. You can ask me about company financials, company growth, company futures, but not on share prices, which is market-driven phenomena. You also know, everyone knows. It's a simple thing, demand supply ratio. I would like to quote one simple example.
So I hope it is nothing beyond that. You don't have any other problems. It's just a market-driven phenomena,
No,
and everything else is okay as far as the other things are concerned as in your company.
I would like to explain. Give only a small example. See, my March 19 PAT was about 8 crore. You can go to the balance sheets, wherein the prices got down by drastically to rupees 14 in particular month, I think April or May last year. My result of March 20 declared on August 1st, I think. And from August 1st, wherein prices were 15-16 rupees before the result, the prices have gone up. Now today 30. And my PAT is 1 crore only. So again, I am repeating, it is a market-driven phenomena. Company fundamentals are very good. Management is very, very transparent. We have strong order book. We have long, ambitious expansion plans. We have our own resources. I can say we have our associate companies also. They are supporting. So nothing wrong. We are 100% transparent with our investors, with SEBI, with income tax, with GST. We are honest taxpayer, and since it's a government money we are earning, it's a public money, and we are giving back to the public by way of paying taxation to the government.
Thanks for all those clarifications. With
Yes.
so many positives, there's so many positives. The question still remains: why aren't the investors interested in investing in the company? That's my question. I think we can move forward because
I would definitely say one line answer. You must see. You must when you are talking about investor, it is today vis-a-vis future. So whatever present today is my PAT is only 1 crore, March 20, and prices are 30 rupees. From here onwards, my unexecuted order book 170 crore, which is to be completed in definitely in next 2.5 years, say 3 years. And now my plan is to achieve 1,000 crore order book in another 4 years. So just you can imagine where the company financials will go in next 4 or 5 years. So that's why investors should invest, because it's a good opportunity to invest, because according to you also the prices are on lower side.
Absolutely. In fact, I'm an investor for last 2 years. I've just seen it going down. As an investor, I back a company which is good. I back the informations that you're giving. I agree. But last 2 years, if we take it as a this thing, next 2 years we have to see what has happened in the last 2 years. You all have progressed well. You all have given good results, but it is not shown in the stock prices.
Again,
anyway, I got your point. I got your point that you'll not be able to answer that question. I'm aware. I started with that. That's why I said, well, let's leave it over here. We are happy with your performance. Let's see how it goes.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Anybody else has any questions specifically? I have a few questions, Mr. Dandavate, if I may.
Surely, madam.
So this was more from your financials 2020 related questions. One was, the revenue reduced by 7 crores. That means your order book reduced.
Tanvi, can you explain?
Yeah. The order book remains same. There are 3 specific reasons to why the top line has come down for March 20. First reason is that the lockdown was announced on 25th March by our Honorable Prime Minister, and due to which all the government offices, our clients' offices were closed down. And usually the revenue booking that happens in Q4 of March 20 got delayed. So all that revenue was realized in the first half of FY21. First is that reason. Second is we were awarded with around 20 to 25 projects of authorities engineer in the year 2016. Those have now come to an end, what we call as PCOD, provisional completion. Therein once the PCOD is done, the manpower at the site is reduced, transportation costs are reduced, and thereby so the revenue claim has also reduced. The third reason was that for the Q3 and Q4 of FY20, the budget provision for the infrastructure had collapsed, and there was no further provision left since a lot of infrastructure projects were being executed at a good rate. Now that new budget provision has come up for infrastructure, we are expecting a good boom.
Okay, so further to your answer, one more question. I remember Finance Minister said infrastructure 57 times in the budget. So with that in the background, I know Mr. Dandavate said a few things around the order book will increase and so on and so forth. But your main order books are coming from the state governments, right? From the state governments.
Central government. Center.
Okay.
National Authority of India and Ministry of Road Transport and Highways.
So that will definitely be the 170 crores that you spoke about, or will it be additional?
It will be, now that budget provision is being given this year. So now we are bidding for the new projects that are come up. Presently, 300 crores of projects have been bidded already, for which results are awaited.
Thank you. Okay. I will move on to my next question. In the profit and loss account, there is on the professional fees and consultancy fees, there was a huge sum of 12 crores, which remained almost at par in 2019 and 2020. Can you elaborate as to what these consist of, and what are these professional fees, just for layman purposes we would like to understand?
Yeah. So professional fees include basically the vendor payments for a few things like geotechnical investigation or a few material testing. We need to outsource certain activities to vendors as a part of our assignment. So the professional fees are under this professional fees are these vendors. Now, why they were not reduced? Again, the same reason, that expenses were going on, but we could not book the revenue against it in the Q4 of March 20. The main reason.
But don't you accrue the income in your books if there is a receivable into your, expected from a company or a vendor?
So now once we migrate to the main board, our accounting standards would change. But presently we follow the Indian GAAP, due to which the unbilled revenue and unbilled expenses are not being accounted for. But once we migrate to the main board, we will have new accounting standards in place, wherein a much more clearer picture would be there.
Okay. Thank you, Tanvi. And we have, so one more question was there with regard to the solid waste management project that you've started, or you've not yet got any orders. Without any orders, you've just looked at it from an opportunity perspective, and you already have started the contacts, and you're positively going to get something from Maharashtra government. Is that the case, Mr. Dandavate?
Yeah, just I would like to explain. Our associate Samarth Softtech entered or jumped into this business 2 years back. After 1 year's hard work, they got works of about 10-12 crore rupees, 5-6 municipalities. 2 crore, 1.5 crore, 2.5 crore, like that. So it was, you can say, testing for our own in-house testing for the business. wherein we understood the cash flow, we understood the client, we understood the profitability. And then when COVID started, and when there was a negative impact on core business of consultancy for a short period, wherein we decided to have a joint venture with Samarth Softtech and bid for the large size projects. Now Samarth Softtech is smaller in size, so they don't get qualified financially for the large assignments of government, wherein Dhruva entered as a joint venture partner, and we put our bids for 2 projects, I think, and wherein we are L1, but the scrutiny is going on.
So Samarth is a part of your own subsidiary within Dhruv?
Not subsidiary, they are associate. It is my brother's company, and no common shareholding or no common directors, but it is a family business or a second business within a family, wherein we work very closely, though we are independent. So they have already the technical know-how, they have already the small size equipments, only they don't have the sufficient bank guarantee margins with their bankers, and they don't have the working capital raising capacity because of they are only private limited company.
Okay.
This is Sunil Sahani coming in. Mr. Dangote, one last question before I leave.
Yeah.
Do you find any hurdles in moving to the main board as far as the regulation is concerned? Anything that you foresee?
BSE has to respond. We have submitted all the necessary data in required formats 3 days back, and what first feedback we have got is that our scrutiny is going on. Document scrutiny.
Okay. Clifton, do you might not be able to meet?
I don't think it is. See, as far as the requirements are concerned, it's a standard format, and is that you have to adhere to that in terms of criteria. I think in terms of market cap, in terms of capital, on all parameters, according to me, they qualify. So it has been submitted 3 days back. It is a time process, and the response should come very shortly. And according to me, I don't see any reason why they should not qualify. So since they presented the application only 3 days back, and there's a process in terms of time, the response would come in a due course. And I think, as Mr. Pandurang Danawade said, that they have submitted in the required format. So it's now a question of processing and the time involved. So I don't think there should be any problem. Soon you should have it on the main board. And once it's on the main board, then the liquidity should improve. I agree with Mr. Dandavati. What is the limitation as far as the SME is concerned is one is the liquidity and the lot size. The lot size is, the liquidity is mainly because of lot size. See, it will, from 2,000 shares as of now, the lot size would be reduced to 1. And when the lot size is 1, then trading is easy, and new investors can enter in. And today there may be many small investors who may be interested in investing in the company, but because of the lot size that prevents them from investing. Perhaps once it's on the main board, it will suit their temperament. In fact, last year I was just talking to a person at the BSE, head of the BSE, and there was one company, I'll not name it, where if you had to invest on that company, the lot size was 6 lakhs, minimum lot size 6 lakhs. Now this is a SME exchange where the lot size was 6 lakhs. And if you had to invest technically on the main board, say a company like Jay Prakash Associates, the price was 1 rupee 50 paisa. So the lot is 1. So if you have to invest on the main board, your minimum investment is 1 rupees 50 paisa. And on the SME, it is 6 lakhs. That is something which is a hurdle, and that is something which is creating the share prices on the SME not to reflect their true value. Even today, a company like Reliance Power, 3 rupees, 5 rupees. So you can enter into Reliance Power at 5 rupees, but you can't enter into an SME company where the minimum investment may be 1.5 lakhs. So this is an anomaly which we get once migration is done, this anomaly which is existing will be sorted out. So I think once
Yeah, Clifton, you're right.
Yeah.
You're right on that. But there's the other side of the coin also, where there are
Right.
companies like VR Films and others, where lot sizes have reduced because their prices have gone up because of investor interest. So it works both ways. So anyway, I just wish the team of Dhruv, Tanvi, and Mr. Danwate all the best. And
Thank you.
we'll see better days ahead. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
There's another question that has come up that once you are planning to move to the main board, is there a requisite number of public shareholders resolution required to, a pass sign off from the shareholders required for you to move on to the main board, and has it been taken?
I think we should not answer this question because it is totally related to the scrutinizing body, that is BSE, to act upon. We have uploaded results of all that post ballot online, you can say, results on the website, which are easily available for anyone to go and check.
Yeah.
So I am not an expert or company secretary. Neither I am a scrutinizing officer. So let scrutinizing officer check that results which are already uploaded on the website, BSE website as well as company website, and available in public. And let BSE take the stand on it. I'm not aware about any norm or anything.
No, but when you have sent it to BSE, you must have adhered to all the requirements stated by BSE.
According to my company, according to my company secretary, yes, we adhere to, but I don't have exact numbers for that. And again, since I have already submitted the documents to BSE, now this is not a right forum to comment upon what is going on there.
Okay, fair enough. We'll take it offline. There was a question from an investor because of that, I checked.
Yes.
One more question is that, now that you gave us such a good picture about the forthcoming years, and September 2020, from your published results, net profit is 2.44 crores, right?
Yeah.
So can I ask a question on financial year 21? Where shall we, headed to? Where are we headed to? An approximate number would do.
Yeah, so with respect to the financials of FY21, since we are not allowed by the SEBI guidelines to post any projections, so the investors will have to wait for the numbers, but definitely they will be in line with the H1 FY21 results, and the results of March 21 may be awaited.
Okay, that's great. Okay. Yeah, I think I'm done with all the questions. If there are any further questions from anyone? Clifton, you have anything to add on to?
According to me, everything has been covered.
Okay, fine.
Everything has been covered in the meeting. Virtually, the question has been answered, and there's nothing more.
Okay, sure. So on behalf of the investors and 3Aces Investor Relations Cell, a big thank you to Mr. P.B. Dandavate and Tanvi for giving us a very great update about the company and the future outlook of the company. And all the best to you for a great year ahead.
Thank you, madam. Thank you, Clifton.
Thank you, Tanvi. Thank you, Panduram. Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Wish you all the best success and prosperity and glorious period in the years ahead. Thank you.
Thank you.